Greetings, everyone. We are closing in on the end of the term. This week is Module 8. We have this week and next week to go before wrapping things up. We still have a fair amount to do, and I hope you're continuing to find the information we're covering interesting. Last week, we continued our discussion of authority and legitimacy and power, and we looked at a couple of videos that pertain to this. The first video was the video of the person wearing a traffic vest, and I think we saw that just wearing that vest has an enormous impact on her ability to compel obedience. Very interesting. Doesn't take much. The second video was the video describing the Rosenhan study. And that study was interesting because what we saw is that people in positions of power and authority aren't by any means freed from the shackles of context and expectation. We saw that despite the fact that the so-called patients behaved normally in the institution once they were admitted, the therapeutic staff were unable to discern this and determine that, in fact, they were behaving sanely because they were, in fact, sane. This goes to what we've been discussing throughout the term, and that's the power of context and the power of symbols. You also turned in your projects. I haven't, of course, had a chance to look at them since it's the beginning of the week, but I'll be reading them over the next few days. Very much looking forward to seeing what you're able to accomplish and analyzing the data that you collected in the brief survey that you administered earlier in the term. Okay, this week we're going to turn to another topic that I find really interesting, and that's the topic of justice, of fairness. These two topics obviously pertain to and are subsets of the issue of morality. One of the videos we're going to look at this week calls into question the idea that morality is something that's peculiar to human beings. I think most of us think that animals don't have a moral sense. They don't have a sense of right and wrong, unlike human beings. The video that you're going to see, the first video, will call that assumption somewhat into question. So I'll be interested in seeing how you react to that. The second video concerns fairness, justice in the workplace. All of you are now or soon will be in workplaces, and one of the things that we know from studies of employee satisfaction that makes a difference is whether employees believe they're being treated fairly. So we'll have a chance to look at that as well. You're being asked to read Chapter 12 and review the information you covered in Chapter 11. I asked you to read that earlier because I knew it would help you on your final paper, so I hope you had a chance to do that. Speaking of that final paper, it'll be due not at the end of this week, of course, but in Module 9. So I hope you've been making good progress on that. This is worth more points than the first paper, so I do hope that you're not leaving this to the last minute. I know from my own experience, when I left things to the last minute, the quality of the work I produced was not as good as what I could produce if I got busy earlier on. Some of you may have a different experience. Maybe it's okay for you to work at the last minute. For most people, it really doesn't help them. And certainly you want to develop habits that will assist you in the workplace. You don't want to leave things to the last minute in the workplace, because if you miss a deadline, it could have consequences much more severe than just getting a grade that you don't want. So anyway, I'll be looking forward to reading those papers because it gives you a chance to address the issue of justice, something that affects all of us, is in the media all the time, and so I'm looking forward to seeing everybody do a nice job on those papers. Okay, if there's any questions you have on the material this week or on your papers, as always, please send me an email, give me a call. I'll be happy to provide you with whatever additional guidance and clarification you need. Have a great week, and I will see you on the discussion board.